Hello everyone, I hope you're well. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I thought in this session we'd create a couple of notelets, so something small that maybe you want to send to somebody just to say thinking about you, or sorry I forgot something, or whatever, just little notelets. So these notelets, they're 4 by 6, so they could quite easily be one of my snippets as well. So it's 4 inches by 6 inches and it's craft card. I think craft card is lovely. And the reason I'm using craft card is, let's just try and bring my basket in. In our previous videos on YouTube, I created this card with the clematis, and then I created this card. And I just think, if you want something to look completely different, changing to craft card can give a really different look to the design. So what I thought we would use is, I'll use my little alpine plant, which is the A7 stamp set. So let's use the A7 stamp set. So the A7 stamp set is TE1, my first ever stamp set on my own. So this is an alpine plant, or an auricula as it is known, but as I always tell you, don't be defined by what something is called, use it however you wish. Now the idea of these is simplicity. So what we're going to do, I'm sure I've just brought it down. Do you know, why is there always something that I just have to reach for? And you would think it'd be the one thing that I would at least remember, but no. So I've got my Nocturne ink, just make sure it's one of my newish ones. Let's just move this out of the way, just so we've not got that in the way. And then we'll just give this a little bit of an inking. Just trying to decide which side's the right side. So we'll give this an inking with my Nocturne ink. Now, craft card is super absorbent. It really sucks. Do you like the sound effects? It really sucks the ink into the card. So let's just give that a really good inking. I love these little A7 stamps. So let's just give that. So let's place that around about here, like so. And what you're doing is, you're not going for anything too complicated. They're little notelets. They're just lovely. But even if you look at my packaging, you could quite easily frame the packaging in a frame, and that would look lovely on a wall. So it's just trying to make everything, use everything as much as you possibly can. So I'm just sort of pressing all over. Now, when you have smaller stamps, you just like as particularly sentiments, you need to not squish the stamp too much. Allow the ink to soak into the card by all means, but don't squish it too much. Let's just leave it. The card, just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I've got little white bits from off my craft sheet, goodness knows where, but just absolutely lovely. And we can bring that to life. Just make sure that you've got some copier paper handy. Now, there's a reason for that, so let's just give this a little bit of a blot. Now, if you're going to go in with, no, there's no ink on there because this is very absorbent. Now, if you're going to use, like I am, some pencil, coloured pencils on there, you really need to make sure that's dry. What I'm going to do is just stamp another one, just deciding which is the right side. It doesn't really matter, does it, Tracy? So I'm just going to stamp a second one. And just a good even layer of ink. And what I want you to do is enjoy your stamps. If you've got any questions, feel free to message me anytime. Let's just add that there. Again, just allow that just to absorb on there. You're not pressing so hard that it absolutely squishes. Just give that time just to soak in. So I'm just lightly pressing over the stamp and just lever that acrylic block. I'm levering the card there as well, which is really handy, but it doesn't need much pressure at all. It's just beautiful. And you can see, we'll leave that on one side, you can see the detail just here with the wording as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Prisma pencils. Now, I'm no colourist. I just do what I like doing, which is simple for me. Just some simple effects. So just some nice simple effects. So let's grab some Prisma colours. So first of all, I'm going to need a white, which needs sharpening. And then let's grab a bit of a brown. Chocolate, sort of a warm brown. I'll tell you the colours afterwards. And then I don't do colour swatches because I'm naughty. And then let's have that colour and a little bit of that colour. I just look at them and I'm terrible. Right, let's put them on the floor. What I'm going to do is just give my pencils a sharpen, mainly because my lovely dear friend Catherine Reed, she bought me this pencil sharpener and it's brilliant. This gold one, it's just brilliant. M&R, and it's made in Germany. So I'm just going to sharpen my pencil. And it's just, thank you, Catherine. It's just a fantastic sharpener. It's got some weight to it. It just feels quality, but it sharpens the pencils beautifully. Absolutely beautifully. So I'm just sharpening because you just like to hear me sharpening, don't you? But I just love it. It just, look at them sharpenings as well. I know I'm a bit sad. So I'm just sharpening my pencils, which I could have sharpened off the camera, but I was so excited about my pencil sharpener. No, I had to do it now. Oh, I love that sharpener, Catherine. Just love it. So I've got my pencils, and really you should sharpen them really long to a lovely sort of point. Just sharpen that a bit more. And the reason it's good to sharpen them to a point is it just makes it easy to use a light pressure and just to get in there. This one is my Prismacolor Chocolate PC 1082. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of shading just around my image, just a little bit of brown shading with my image. Can you see where my fingers are on my pencil? Can you see how high I'm holding my fingers up on that pencil? That forces me to only put light pressure on my card. So it doesn't really matter about the bottom because I'm probably going to do something with that. But it forces me to only use light pressure. If I come down here like this, it's like when you're at school, it forces you to press on too hard. So I'm just sort of pressing that on there. Now I'm just showing you tips that work for me. We all have different ideas, we all have different procedures, but I'm just showing you what works for me. And sometimes what works for you is sometimes the best, rather than sort of setting rules and regulations. So I'm just going around just with that chocolate pencil, just to give me a light shading of that brown. And I just think it just gives it a little bit of shading. We can add more, but we just won't do that now. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to use my white, PC 938. You can see I use this quite a bit, it's a little bit shorter. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of white to my auricular florals. And what I'm trying to get you to do is appreciate your stamps, even if you only create something simple. Something simple is just as beautiful as something that has got lots of layers. So it's just, you just have to remember that. Don't worry about, you know, if it's simple. That's lovely. So I'm just adding this sort of light layer of white, just so that the colour I add on the top then just pops. So let's just add a little bit of the white here. So again, I'm holding those fingers quite high up. Now I just need to, I don't know whether you class it as a disclaimer or whatever out there, I am not an artist. I don't know the professional ins and outs of what you should and shouldn't do with pencils or colouring. What I do and what I try to educate is that I do what makes me happy and what gives me lovely results. So what I'm going to do is now add a little bit of colour. I've added that white on there just so that when I add other colours, it will just pop. The colours will pop. So what I'm going to do is then start with my darkest colour, which is Process Red, and it's PC 994. Now, if you're not happy with just looking at the colours like me, test your colours on the side. So what we're going to do is just add, look how high up those fingers are again. Just lovely and high up, nothing too, it's high up in the, holding the pencil so that I don't add too much pressure. And you want that ink to be dry. You don't want to pick up that ink, you don't want it to be wet. I mean, craft card is, you know, it absorbs the ink, so I'm just adding a little bit of colour. And with your pencils, you should go in really lightly first. If you go in too heavily, you break down the card fibres too quickly and it goes shiny. Well, that then prevents you from adding more layers. So it's sort of nice, sort of vintage tone. So I'm then got Hot Pink, which is PC 993. I'm just going to sort of blend a little bit. And what's lovely about this floral is it's not complicated. It's not complicated to colour. So you can just take your time. And obviously I decided I didn't want to do the centre for some reason. Just add a little bit of the colour in the centre. Again, I'm not pressing super hard. Let's just blend that out with the lightest colour. Because the florals are not too big, you don't have to do much as far as the colouring. What I'm going to do then is go back to the darker colour, which they're calling Process Red, PC 994. And what I'm going to do is just press a little bit harder. I'm not scratching the cards so much that, you know, what I'm doing is I'm just adding a little bit more darkness to that colour. I will lift this up just so that you can see. So just take your time and just add a bit more of that colour. So I'm building up that layer, just so that you can see I'm building up the layer. We'll just blend everything out, just so that then we're going to use our white and just add some touches of white. So we'll add some touches of white with our Prisma pencil. So I'm just using my Prisma pencil just to add some sort of white details, just to give that touch of white. You can use your gel pens if you wish. It's entirely up to you. And you can let your card rest as well. Now I need a green, which I didn't pick up. So let's pick a green. The only one I haven't got open is the greens. Right. So let's have like a bit of a vintage and oops, she says as she knocks everything over. So I'm just grabbing the greens. Now again, if you're not sure, just go on the back of your card and just see which greens that you want. Right, so we need to give those a sharpen. Any excuse to sharpen. So just sharpening those. So I'm going to start with the darker colour, which is, what is that? Kelly Green. It's PC 1096. And I'm just going to add a little bit of that green. Again, just sort of adding light touches of that green. Just give it a light shading. I can add more detail afterwards. I'm then going to go to the lightest colour, which is Spring Green, PC 913. I also like to let the card rest a bit, you know, here. I still not worked it too hard, so I could go back in and add more layers if I wish. So I don't have to press too hard. I love the craft. Sort of gives me a bit of a vintage feel in some ways to that. Just love that. So let's go back to that darker colour. And let's just add a little bit more of the darkness. So just pressing a little bit harder, and then we'll just blend with the paler colour. And if you can sort of let that rest, it really does help. So I'm just going over there, just so you can see. Just you go. And if I want to add a little bit more darkness at the tips, I can use moss green, which is PC 1097. And I can just give it a little bit more darkness, just in the darkest area. And go to the second darkest colour. Just blend that out. And it works so nicely on the craft. Really does. So then we'll go to that lighter colour. Just give a little bit more of that lightness. And just while that rests, just going to add a little bit more sort of darkness to this. Just to those florals a little bit more. There we go. And I'm just going to add a little bit of white just to the tip of the leaf, just to make it sort of a little bit brighter. Just go back to the lighter green and just blend that out. So just add a little bit of white. Just gives it sort of a bit of vibrancy, just by adding a little bit of that white. Just to the, just makes it pop a little bit more, doesn't it? I think it does. Don't you think? That white just makes it pop a little bit more. Just works lovely. There we go. Now we're just going to add a little bit of white to our floral, just to make it pop. Do you know, I've put the heating on again. I cannot get my body temperature right at all, because I'm either freezing cold or absolutely boiling hot. I just can't get it right. So now I'm boiling hot. So I'm just going to add, I think that the sort of touch of white just gives a little bit of life to the design. It just brings it to life a little bit. Don't you think that just makes it sort of pop a bit more? I think it looks lovely. And then we'll just add a little bit of white to our pot. Just to make it pop a bit more. So what I'll do then is I'll just go in and just add a little bit more of this chocolate, just a little bit more shading. Just around the edges. Just to help with all the, now for me it just sort of looks like a vintage notelet. It really does. It just works lovely. So just adding, and because I'm adding that touch of darkness, it really pops just beautifully as that notelet, don't you think? It just looks lovely. I absolutely love that. And I have to say, I'm loving the touch of white on these leaves. Just think that works just so beautifully. Oh, this is just going to be addictive. So what I'm going to do then is take the same stamp set. So if you look at this, I've got the word alpine plant on there. So we'll take that, take our alpine plants text, just grab a little A7 acrylic block. And can you see, I'm not rushing the process, but 20 minutes of your time and you've already got a little beautiful notelet. So I've got these mini lollipop sticks. I think I just got them from Amazon ages ago. So I've got the little lollipop stick. Let's just see if that'll... I'm not squishing it, I'm not pressing it, I'm just allowing it to soak into the lollipop stick. Don't press it too hard. There we go, lovely. So now I've got this little lollipop stick, and that's going to really add to the vintage feel. And that's going to be like my shelf, because these sort of auriculas, you often find them on shelves, or theatres they're often called, theatres, where they're like little cupboards and you put all your auriculas in a line and display them. And they look beautiful, and there's some beautiful vintage colours as well. So let's just add that to there. Let's just take this here. Just gorgeous, don't you think? Just think that is lovely. We just put the lid on that adhesive, and then I'm just going to take some splatters and just take a few. Now don't get it on your, what's that called? Sentiment. There you go. So did you see how lightly I sort of splattered? Get your pen flowing first, just so you can see that. Oh, I adore that. So that's 4 by 6. I've then got a white mat that's 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. Let's just add this here. So that's 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 is the little mat, and the white makes everything pop, especially if you get it straight. There we go. So the white makes that pop beautifully. I can still go in and add more white if I wish. So I've got my gel pen here, and I can just go over. Let's just make sure that's working. Are you working? Sometimes your gel pens can have a little bit of debris on them. So just check that they're working. So I'm just adding little touches of white. Just with my gel pen. I'm not going in too hard, just sort of lightly touched. So what I've got then, again from Craft Card, is a card blank 4 1/2 by 6 1/2. And then we can just add this to our card blank, and it has a lovely, classy, vintage feel, like it's in a boutique shop. Tracy Evans Boutique Designs, ha! Like it's in a boutique shop. Pared back, classy, but looks quite expensive. So just add that to your 4.5 by 6.5 card blank. There you go. Just so that you can see. Isn't that lovely? Just lovely. Now that's your notelet 1. And then we're going to do another notelet. So this time, let's make it look a little bit different. So what we're going to do is, let's have, so you just any circle, that's about 2 inches. And what I'm going to do is grab my, have I got a fine pen? Just a biro. And let's just add a circle. About 2 inches, that is. So let's place that back over again, because you can see where I've missed. So just add the bit of circle there. So I've now, you can't see that, I've now got a circle on there, just to make it look a little bit different. And let's add a circle here. So what I'm doing is showing you that you can make your designs look completely different. Let's place that there. Trying to show you that with one idea you can make it look completely different. So let's just, so they're not too regimented, a little bit more doodly, let's just add them round there. So what we're going to do then is we're going to add some of the white pencil to our circle. One, it'll make the colours pop. And again, look where my hand is. Look at the hand, look at the hand, look at the hand. So you can see where I'm holding the pencil. Let's just add a little bit of colour here. And what you're doing is you're using the same stamp, but what you're doing is you're making it look different. So I've got my white, so I'm going to start with my dark colour, which is the Process Red, PC 994. And I'm just going to just go around and then I'm going to take the lighter colour, which was the hot pink, PC 993, and just sort of blend that colour out. I tend to do one circle at a time. I could have added the colour to both circles at the same time, but I don't know, I tend to like to do it one at a time. It's just me. I also like to give things time to rest. So I'll give that time to rest, and then we'll go with the dark colour just to this circle. Like so. Again, I can go a bit quicker now because you've seen what I've done. So this is with the darker colour. then let's go with the lighter colour. And just lightly add the lighter colour. And I've still got somewhere to go because I've not broken the fibres down too much. So we'll come in a little bit harder now, but not so hard that you break the fibres down too quickly. So you're still taking your time. And you're just adding layer. You're adding each layer sort of lightly, because we don't want to go in too hard, because you'll just break them down too much too quickly. There we go. So we're just sort of building up that layer. So let's come in and just blend. Blend that out. And do the same with this. I do like the Prisma colours. They're lovely and waxy and sort of smooth. And now Catherine's got me that sharpener. Oh, I just love it. So let's go back in and add another layer. Just pressing a little bit harder. And I love making these little notelets, some sort of simple ideas just to bring your stamps to life. Let's just colour them in. There we go. Then we'll go back with our lightest colour and just blend out and smooth out those lines. I do think craft card is such a lovely looking card. It just works really well. I really like it. So now with the final layer, I'm going to go in a bit harder. Just with a little bit of a darker layer. And then we'll blend that out, because now we've got harsh lines. Just blend that out with your lightest colour. I'll just blend that out. I do love these pencils. So then I'm going to use my white, and we'll just come in and add the white. Just to add a little bit of that white. White really makes it pop. And just relax into your colouring. You can see I'm not doing anything complicated. Nothing complicated at all. So we're going to go back with the light colour, the lighter pink. Just to come into the white a little bit more. Same with this one, just a little bit more. And then we can just blend again the white. Sort of using that circular motion just to blend the colours. Beautiful pencils. And this is what I love about stamps. So many possibilities. They look lovely just with the circles, and it is a good idea if you can give things time to rest. So let's grab a smaller circle, because I've got a thing about threes. It's just me all over. So this is about a 1-inch circle. There we go. If that really. Just go round it, just doodle round it. You can just use a biro. And again, let's use the darkest colour first. Just lightly laying down that colour. I didn't put the white down on this one. It won't matter too much. I didn't put the white down first like I did on the first ones. So just blend that out. And then a layer of white. So each colour's been laid down very lightly. I've not pressed too hard. We'll go back to that darker colour. Just layer a little bit more with a bit more strength, but not too hard. And again, the second colour. Just blend that out. And again, with our white. Just to blend out. Go back. And these pencils are lovely, lovely and easy to use. Even, you know, if you're not a professional like me, they're just lovely and easy to use. They're just sort of, so you can see we've got those lovely colours. Might be able to sort of add a little bit of a darker layer just around the floral. It's still, yes, that's still laying down, and that's because I didn't go in too hard too quickly. Just beautiful. So I'll go in a bit harder with this. And then go to our second colour. And then to our white. It does look rather nice on the craft. I think it looks really nice. So I'm then going to use that brown again, the chocolate, PC1082. And we're just going to add a little bit of shading just around our image again. So you could create these notelets and then you've got them ready to send out to your friends or family, or just because. It doesn't have to be a reason. I'm just going round with that chocolate, which is sort of a warm brown. And it's just looking at your stamps that when you've sort of embraced an idea, you can sort of take it further and create different ideas. So just going around, just gently with the brown. And what I'm going to do now is just sort of blend it out, sort of nothing. Just take your time. And this sort of doesn't have to be as blended as these. But I do think it's a good idea just to let things rest. It just works a little bit better. I'm just smoothing out a little bit underneath the circles. Just to blend that out a little bit more. And then I'm going to colour. So what I can decide now is whether I want to cut out. So let's just grab some more craft card. I'm trying to show you different ways that you can do things. So let's just grab our little auricula, alpine plant. There we go. And let's just stamp this here. Just give that time just to soak in. Don't be in too much of a rush. I'm not bothered. Am I bothered about the pot? No. But you could use the pot with other florals as well. So let's just give that a blot, mainly because I'm going to cut that out. So let's take our image, and I'm not going to leave a border. I'm going to cut right to the edge. So just turning that card just to cut out the part of the image that I wish to have. And I love the fact that, you know, stamps are so versatile. I use these Pergamano scissors mainly because I can get into the little detail. Let's cut some of this card away. because we've got too much card that we have to hold on to. Let's cut that away. So just cutting right to that edge. But you could quite easily just have it like that with the bit cut away on the card. Have I just got that? Let me just check, because I was too busy. There we go, looking at what I was doing. And to be honest, these are really easy to cut out as well. Nothing too complicated. But this is why I don't like too much card when I'm cutting, because it can get in the way. And I have to still try to remember to keep that card so that you can see it. So I'm just cutting out the physical plant, like so. So then I can add my touch of colouring to the leaves, like I did before. Sorry, wrong colour. So with the Kelly Green PC 1096. So we can start with our green. We just start very lightly. And again, you can add white if you wish, just so that it pops a little bit more. So I'm just adding the light colours, and then I'm going to my lightest green, which is Spring Green PC 913, just to add the PC 913. And if you just like a really loose colouring and sort of very carefree, loose kind of effect, you can just colour very lightly and not add anything else. So let's just add a little bit of the white, just building up the layers very simply initially, not adding too much pressure to anything. And it hasn't got any depth yet, which is fine. Go back to our darker colour, just add a little bit more pressure. Again, not too much that you can't add any more. Just take your time. Then go back to the lighter green. Obviously, it's easier to colour if you haven't cut out your image. It's far, far easier if you colour first and then cut out. But I just wanted to cut it out just so you could see. Then go with that white. The white definitely gives that pop. But you can see it's definitely far easier if you colour and then cut out. But the reason I did this is so you can see I can bring it in and just show you where I'm going. Just so you can see that, because then I'll just have a little bit of dimension. Let that rest a little bit and let's go to our florals. Let's add the white to the florals. So just add the white. And you can see I'm just scribbling that white on. The florals are nice and small and I don't have to worry too much. It's just to give a layer that will then make the colouring brighter. So I'll go to my darkest colour, which is the Process Red 994. And we'll just add a little bit of that colour. Again, just using a light layer of the colour. Don't press too hard. But the idea is I'm showing you different ideas. So let's just add a little bit of white here. Let's add white at the end. So I'm just adding sort of white touches. I'm adding white to the edge of the petals. And at the moment, you know, it needs that blending and it needs more colour adding. So we'll go back to the darker colour. And we'll just add a little bit more of that darker colour. I've got an itchy nose. Does that mean that I'm in for an argument? So just going in with the darker layer. And let's go in with the lighter pink. Just to add that lighter layer. And just to blend out our lines. And just take your time. So I'll go back to the white. And you can colour them different each time. You can colour your florals different each time, just to give them a different feel. So just take your time. And if you don't want to add much colour at all, that's also fine. So I'm going to go back to my leaves. They've rested a bit now. Let me just add a little bit to the stem. So I'm just adding another sort of layer of that white, just to make things pop. And I'll just go back to the lighter colour with the greens, just blending the lines out. And go back to our darker green. And in my previous one I added an even darker green at the very tips, but I don't need it really on this one. Go back to that white, which now needs sharpening. Just to make sure that you just get some nice blend. And it just sort of pops really nicely. So I'm just going to add there's something on the end of mine, because you can pick little bits up as well. I'm just adding sort of touches of white just to my floral. And it's entirely up to you whether you want to add this 3D element or not. You don't have to, but it's entirely up to you. So just adding little touches of white. Now don't forget these are waxy, so the pencil crayons are. So you can leave it like this if you wish, just so that you've got those circles and that stain as it is. I'm going to sort of pinch the leaves just to give a little bit more movement to the design. So I'm just pinching those a little bit, and it will be added like this. Just lovely, absolutely love it. So I'm going to grab some white cotton. Again, you're just giving a bit of a different feel to your card. I was going to say I'll leave the end, but I haven't. And I should do like I've been told and put it in the little ridge. And then before you decide on anything, just add your cotton and see if you're happy with it. Oh yes. So then I'll add a little bit of my pin flare. And it's probably easier if you sort of, when you get into the finer bits, like the leaves, you could use a little stick. But I only need to stick down one leaf, really. I forgot which one leaf I added the glue to. Ha ha. Was it that one? Oh, that, right there. And now I've got something that's got a little bit of dimension. If I just lift that up, you can see this has got some dimension on there. So then I'm going to add, let's just grab the, don't need that one, that's got the R. Right, so let's go back into our packaging. If I go to TE2, this is also an auricular, but it's a bigger size auricular than the little ones here. So if I bring this in for you, you can see it's a bigger size auricular, and it's just gorgeous. But it's got some text on there, so let's bring that one out as well. Then we can just have stamps everywhere, like I normally do. Right, let's grab another acrylic block. So you've got on here, often displayed in individual pots on shelves, and you've got the word auricular. Now, I don't know whether that auricular will fit on my little tiny my little tiny lollipop sticks. But we shall see. There we go. No, that is not straight. That's it, just let it fall down. I've got these little miniature lollipop sticks again. And it may not fit on there, but we'll see. Oh yes, it looks lovely. I love it. I just adore stamping. Just makes me so happy. Let's just add this to there. Like so. So it's like it's on a little shelf. It doesn't have to be on a shelf, but it just looks like it's on a shelf, which I just love. Really, really lovely. So then we'll use our Posca pen again and just add a few little, and I'm going very gently, and that's why my voice has to go gentle, just because I'm going gentle with that. So if you bring in your other one, you can see you've got two different designs. Oh God, they're gorgeous. So let's add that now to a white mat, which is 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. So let's add that to our card. And just now, because this card is absorbent, make sure you add enough adhesive, because the craft card is very absorbent. And as I always say, don't try to stick a card down when you've got wet Posca splatters like I have. I just adore that. So then I'm going to add that to my 4 1/2 by 6 1/2 inch card blank. Let's add that to there. There we go. So we'll just add that. And I do love the craft. It sort of gives it a lovely, it's very classy. There we go. Just so you can see. Oh, I just love it. So now we've got two different notelets that you can send to somebody. It's not, and if you don't want to add dimension because of the postage, well then keep it flat like I've done with this one and add the circles. You don't have to add the dimension if you don't wish, but I love that because it just looks a little bit different. So let's place that on there. Now, I bet you thought that was it, didn't you? Let's go for a third option. So we're now going to go for our third option. So let's grab, I don't know whether my brown is out here. Yes, it should be. So let's grab a brown vintage photo distress oxide ink. Let's take our sort of stamp. So we're going to use the same auricula, the alpine plant that's in the little pot. And you can use them together, that's the whole point. We'll show how to do that as well in a demo. So let's see if I can just get this to show up just on my craft card. I wonder if I might need just a slightly, no, let's go with it, stop. Let's go with it, Tracy. So we'll just ink. I just know that this ink pad is not super wet. Let me just see if I've got a darker one. A darker brown. There we go. Let's go gathered twigs. I just know my vintage photo is a little on the dry side, so let's just use gathered twigs. we'll use the gathered twigs. And we'll do it again. There we go. Just showing you how you can make it look different again. Just allowing that oxide ink just to absorb into the card. There we go. So you don't have to stamp in black. But what I'm going to do then is do my colouring again. So let's just take the colouring again, and I'm going to add white. Let's sharpen my pencil, just because I like an excuse to sharpen it. So let's just colour the leaves. I will colour and what I'm trying to explain is that stamps give you endless possibilities. And I like things that imagery that doesn't date. So let's go around our florals. So I'm just adding a little bit of white just so I can make things pop a little bit more. And just add a little bit of that white. There we go. But I mean, if you wanted to just keep it in white, you could keep it in white, couldn't you? And just keep adding layers. So let's go to our leaves. And we're just going to start with our darkest colour. You don't need me to keep repeating the darkest colour, because I've repeated that several times now. So we're going with our dark colour. We're just adding our first layer. So we're not sort of pressing too hard. Then let's go to our lighter green. Just blend that out. Just take your time. Just blend your colours out. But now you're going to get a different feel because you've not stamped in the black. Let's just... Then we'll go back to our white. To add our white. Just to make that pop. And you do lose yourself. I lose myself in the colouring. And I shall go back to the sort of spring green. Just to add another layer of that spring green. I've got an itch now. When I'm enjoying myself, I always get an itch. Got a little itch. It's the Bond film, that is, if you're wondering if I'm losing the plot. Got a little itch. No, no, to the left, or is it to the right, to the right? And some of you now are going to be thinking, what is this woman talking about? You'll get used to me. So just add that white. But it looks different than with the black ink. Just looks lovely. So what I'm going to do now is take my brown and we're going to colour our pot. We're going to colour the pot. Just make sure that you just have some white areas, just so you can see that. What you're going to have a white part of the pot, and then just colour again with the brown. And what you're doing is you're making everything look completely different. So I'm getting really lost now. So I've got that, you know, sort of no line colouring. I'm going to now, as I go into the brown, I'm dragging out so it's got like a secondary colour. Can you see? Yes, you can. Now, it's important that you just do give things time to rest as well. But now you can't see the text on the pot, can you? No, you can't. It's just brilliant. Oh, it does make me happy. Right. This time, I'm going to use a little flicking motion rather than a circular motion. Some people find it easier to do that, but when you use the flicking motion, because it's only a small area, I'm not going to see any lines. Normally I use a circular motion because you don't get any lines, but with this, it's such a small area, I won't get any lines. I'm so hot and the heating's not on. I think that's all the excitement of colouring. And then I'll just blend the lines out just with a little bit of the what's this called, the lighter pink. We'll just blend some of those lines out with the lighter pink. So now just sort of using that circular motion just to blend those lines out. And what I'm going to do, I want my white pencil at a sharp point, You can see why you get through why I get through quite a few whites. So I'm going to just add a little bit of white round here. Just to make things pop a little bit more, just so you can see where this is going. I'm then going to go with the same brown that I've coloured the pot with so far, and again I'm just going to go very lightly this time, just sort of around. I haven't finished the florals yet. Just go around there. Just very lightly. Just around. So nothing too over the top. And sort of, as I want it to blend out, I just go even lighter. So just blend in a little bit of that brown. Just very lightly, just blending it out. Now we need to go in and just add a little bit more dimension now to our florals. And if you're unsure, you can always look at your packaging and what your packaging looks like, especially when you're doing no line colouring. If you're a little bit unsure, because obviously those lines fade into the background, which is the whole point. So just adding a little bit more definition now, just to my florals, just to give them a little bit more depth. And the florals are easy to colour because you don't, it's not like it's one of the bigger florals, so you have to sort of blend. You don't have to do that. You can get away with a bit of colour. You really can. Now on some auriculas, they have a really dark sort of rim to the inside. It's just blending that out a bit. And then I'm going to sort of add a little bit more of the white, just so they stand out a little bit more. And then what I can go now is I can go back and just blend the pot a little bit more, because that pot has now had some rest. And I'm just adding some sort of highlights, just so you can see that it's a pot. Just adding a little bit more. I'll just go and blend again, and as I blend into that sort of darker brown, I'm getting really nice sort of blend. But doesn't the pot look completely different now? So we'll go back to the leaves just to add a bit more white. go. That's it. And then if I take a little bit of this card and then just stamp one of the auriculas. I don't know which one I'm going to cut out, but we'll see. So that's using my Nocturne ink. Probably the middle one. So I'm probably going to cut out, I nearly picked up the white then. Just block that. Let's take our scissors. Oh. I see, I nearly forgot just to show you what I was doing. You know me by now, I love a good faff. There we go. I can just sort of cut in to that floral a little bit. Now I haven't given that much time to dry, but hey ho. Let me just add a little bit. Let's sharpen that, because if I sharpen it to a point, especially when I'm colouring a fine floral, I can just get in there with the pencil when it's sharpened. Let's blend then. That's not sharpened either. So we can just blend our colour. And it is good. Now, if I'd have done this on white card, I would have need to have let the black ink dry a little bit more. Well, I've just done with my white pencil. Chucked it over there. Yes, if it was on white card, I would have needed to just allow the ink, the black ink, just to dry a little bit more. And it's so easy to colour, because you don't have to had with a H. You don't really have to do much to it, just to, so let's just, so then I can add my auricular. Let me just have a look now. Which way do I want it? I'm going to faff for England. Where's the, you're going to have to bear with me just while I keep turning it around, because I can't make my mind up which way I want it. Like so. Or do I want it like so? I am going to drive you all mad. It's because it can go any way you want, you see. That'll do. So just add this one little floral, just so that it's got some dimension. So just that one. We'll then add our splatters. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, nearly forgot then. On the auricular one, it's got that text. So I just want to use that text. So let's grab, how many A7 acrylic blocks can one person have? Let's take that off there. And where's the auricular one? That one. We'll just take that off there. see which way the text goes. Can't see now because I've turned it that many different ways. Ink it up, Tracy, and then you'll know. So then I'm going to use pine cone. Let me just see which way this... Yeah, I've got it the right way, just checking. So I'm using my pine cone VersaFine Clair ink. What I'm going to do is just add a little bit of the stamping. Oh, I just love it. Absolutely adore it. Just adding some of this stamping just to the background, just so you can see. Just makes it look like a vintage book for me. And I love how it goes over the leaves as well. Oh, I just love that. Looks like a vintage book, that does. So we're just going to go down just a little bit further. Yes, 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 I absolutely adore that. So we'll then take our little lollipop stick. I can't speak because I'm too excited about creating. Right, so I'll take that auricular again. Don't stretch it and sort of allow it to fall itself. That's it. So then we'll add our auricular to the lollipop stick. Beautiful. And then we can just add this to the bottom of our design. But you see, I want a bit of that text to come down, so I need a bit more. And I'm going to have black ink all over my fingers. But I just want that text to come down a bit more. So let's just use that pine cone VersaFine Clair. Let's bring it down here. Lovely. Now let me see. That's better. Then add our adhesive. I always get one that, come on. I'm like, it's had the lid on. Let's just add that. Add our auricular there. Oh, I just adore these. And then we'll add a few little splatters. There we go. Turn your card around. There we go. Just turn that round. And then, where's my other stamps? We've then got this beautiful bird. So I'm going to add the bird, probably this little one here. And this is on stamp set TE4 New Beginnings. We'll just take our bird, which is a lovely size. And then, do I want him on white? Yes, I do. Not that piece of white card though. Scrap piece of white card. stamp our bird in black, in our Nocturne ink, and it says calm and peace inside the bird's body. I always tend to go and stamp in the middle of a piece of card for some reason, rather than going to the edge and making sure I get more use out of the actual cardstock. Strange how I do that. There we go. So you've got that calm and peace in there. And then, I mean, before you cut anything out, you really should blot. And this is just going to have a pop of white, which when I put the white mat on, then it all coordinates together and all works beautifully. So just lovely. That's just, and again, you're just making your little notelet look a little bit different. And you can see I'm trying not to touch my actual stamped image, just so that I don't smudge the ink, as I've really not blotted or given it time just to dry a little bit. So just be aware of that. You don't want to smudge that ink, and that's why we blot the ink, because it's got a good open time, which means it stays wetter longer, which is perfect for these designs. It picks up the detail beautifully. So I've got my lovely little bird now. Just love that. And I'm just going to add him there. So let's just, now I can't pick him up. So let's grab a little needle. Just to sort that out. Have to give that a little bit of wipe. There we go. There's loads of that. I was going to say that there's loads of glue in there. Just add that there. You just got to give it time just to grab hold, because it'll just fall, as you've just seen. So just give it time. There you go. It soon grabs, but just so you can see our lovely bird. So once we add this then to our 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 white card, which is still my pink frog card. If you don't want to use your pink frog card for your matting and layering, you don't need to do that. You can use any sort of scrap cheap white card if you wish for your mat and layering. And then just add, now the pop of white on the bird makes sense because we've added that white mat, which makes perfect sense now. It's just beautiful. So then I'm going to take my 4 1/2 by 6 1/2 inch card blank. I thought something had fallen off then. And then just add that. Make sure I put the lid on that adhesive. Just all looks classy with the matting and layering that we use. So then I just want a few more little splatters. That's better. Maybe. That's better. So let's bring in our 3 little notelets. I hope you've enjoyed this session. I've really, really loved it. So there's our first notelet, our last notelet. There, oops, there was our middle notelet, just so you can see that. And this was our first, let me move this out the way, our first notelet. So I hope you've enjoyed those. I hope you've enjoyed the ideas, and I'll see you all soon. Love to all. Bye for now.